Hey everybody, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor for Water and Waste Digest, and throughout the month of July, we are going to be featuring our 2020 Young Pros. Today, I am talking to Jason Patty. He is the Superintendent for the Wetlands and Water Reclamation Facility in El Dorado, Kansas. So Jason, thank you so much for being on the call with us today.
You bet.
Yeah, so why don't we start kind of just with your career path? You got a bachelor's degree in wildlife biology. How did that result in you now moving into a position as a superintendent for a a wetlands and a water reclamation facility?
Well, to be honest, it was a little bit by accident. I was graduated college and did a few stints with the Sedgwick County Zoo. Looked into game warden type positions, which is pretty typical for a wildlife biologist.
Mhm.
Um, Came across an ad for the city, actually in the drinking water side of things, as an entry level operator. Applied and was hired, and I worked there for just over a year. And then during that time, the city was building a new activated sludge treatment plant. Um, the position came open as a chief operator. Um, Given my biology background, the activated sludge really fit closer uh, to my education. And so we made a transition, becoming the chief operator at the new activated sludge plant. And then a few years later, became superintendent.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's pretty interesting. So it is ties more directly into the degree that you have. I'm sure that that makes it more fun for you as a career too. What how different is like the water side versus this type of wastewater side? Like, did you have to do a lot of learning to overcome the differences in how things are handled?
well, obviously, water's primarily chemistry based. I did study chemistry in school, so it wasn't foreign by any means. But given wildlife biology, the outdoors is kind of, a little bit more of a passion for me. That's really what we have here with the city of El Dorado, and the city's been very progressive, really with regards to water and wastewater. But some of the things that we've done here have implemented, best management practices, really to protect our water source, our watershed. Um, but we're able to showcase those types of things at the wastewater plant. We have native grass buffer strips all the way around our crop fields that butt up to the river. Um, and of course, man-made wetlands that serve as extraneous overflow during rain events. We've got 24 million gallon capacity in those wetlands where, typically a treatment plant's going to construct concrete basins and, pump that water back and then treat it. Uh, with the wetlands, we're able to divert flow and then allow uh, nature to treat that water. So the dikes of the wetlands are also planted in native, which really brings in the wildlife and that passion, that crossover for me. Wastewater treatment, wildlife biology just has been a great fit.
Yeah, talk about you went into it with the microbiology aspect for activated sludge and whatnot, and it became more than that and more like what you studied. It's really
Right.
interesting. Yeah, that's super cool. So you mentioned too in the questionnaire that we conducted with all the young professionals about the need to replace an aging workforce as people are retiring and whatnot. How do you think organizations can better cater to that next generation of worker? What are some values that you can look for? How do you encourage them to join the industry? What are ways to encourage all of that?
I think, as an industry, we really need to be deliberate in recruiting. For example, myself, it was sheer luck that I'm here today where I'm at, and I wouldn't change anything. Um, I think oftentimes we wait around for someone to find us. And so if we can get in front of youth, the earlier the better. I think we will, start putting water in their minds as a viable career path. Um, I think the more we can as an industry, share our successes. We tend to be a pretty humble group, but don't be afraid to share successes via social media and create a buzz for the industry. Um, some of the other things that we've done here are just becoming mentors, providing internships for high school students. We've kind of done that in tandem with Wichita State University. So universities are great resources to pick up some grants and introduce career paths to these young kids.
Yeah, just getting them have letting them have a foot in the door or work specifically in the industry and get a actual feel for it rather than just hear about it could be, I imagine, really successful in finding new hires.
Absolutely. I think one, misconception, specifically with wastewater is, oh, we're treating wastewater, but, the realization that there's so many career paths, whether it's SCADA, computer programming, or engineering, actual construction of treatment plants, and then, ultimately operations. Um, if we can do a better job of just describing those paths, I think we might get somewhere.
Yeah, just the diversity in general. So, I mean, on that note of all the diverse opportunities for work and whatnot, obviously future generations are going to make some major influences on all those different minor verticals basically. I expect digital stuff will become even more prevalent and whatnot, but I want to hear from you kind of what you expect the future generations of workforce will bring to the table in terms of their influence on the industry.
Sure. I think technology is going to continue to develop, and that's exciting to me. Taking advantage of these advances will lead to new discoveries and efficiencies, and we're really going to have to lean on that new generation that are, real tech savvy and their ideas to help us implement these processes, and we can kind of give back our experience of what might work and what might not work, but really you know, empowering them to get out there and do a job.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point that you raised that because of their tech savviness, I imagine the rate of adoption will increase with a lot of these newer tech specific types of equipment and monitoring remote stuff and machine learning AI, all of that will just kind of grow.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing bits and pieces, virtual reality designs of treatment plants to provide walkthroughs that, you may pick up some kind of a design flaw and head that off before construction. And that's kind of uh, intriguing to me. If we're becoming more efficient, we've got these great tools, and we're going to, again, need the tech savvy generation to show us how to use them.
Yeah. So one of the other things that is really critical, and one of the reasons why we thought that you were such a great young professional to feature, is your involvement both locally and nationally in your role. Could you talk a little bit about what you do in Kansas and then also at a national level in terms of your involvement in the industry beyond just your normal work capacity on a day to day?
Yeah, for me anyway, engaging in state and national associations is about being connected with the industry. We talk a lot about networking, and I think that these associations really accomplish that. Um, Having relationships across the country will no doubt pay dividends in the future. Whether I'm scratching my head trying to figure out a problem, why something isn't working, or just new technologies that you see around in different parts of the country that might have a piece, here in the Midwest. So I think it's a huge benefit to have those connections across the country. Um, an outside set of ears and eyes is uh, I think a good thing. We can get complacent at our own treatment plants, but bringing somebody else in to look things over and maybe point out some efficiencies, I think is very valuable. Um, I would say the one thing that I was not expecting was the return on my investment. And my investment, I just mean my time. We volunteer our time for the organization and to try to make things better. And I've been to places I would otherwise have not seen. I've met people I would have otherwise not met. And that's a direct result of being engaged in the association. The Kansas Water Environment Association and the Kansas section of AWWA have given me so much more over the years. Honestly, I just hope I've given them good representation uh, along the way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to close out on more of a personal note with you and some of your hobbies. You had mentioned that you raise English setters and some cattle. You also have a hunting preserve. Could you talk a little bit about your hobbies and like it sounds like it's directly related to your degree with wildlife biology.
Yeah, so I was fortunate to way back in college get an internship at a hunting preserve, and kind of test the waters of land management and the hunting aspects, and was able to bring that home to some family property that we own and operate a hunting preserve. And the English setters start was really at that same internship. Guide dogs that this owner had were English setters, and I'd never hunted with them, but as a guide, got to use them and really enjoy them. And so since then, we have been raising English setters for a number of years, and companions, hunting dogs, and then also we campaign on the major field trial circuit. So they've done very well, and it's been a good passion of mine for several years. And our newest venture in cattle, we raise Akaushi cattle, which is a Japanese breed of cattle, which is touted for health benefits and high marbling carcasses. Um, it's really become a family affair, and I've got 4 young kids, and getting them involved in all of these things and giving them some responsibility along the way has taught them some good lessons, I hope, and it gives us some good family time together.
Yeah, you had mentioned too, like being able to distill that kind of responsibility and diligence and whatnot as one of your passions. So to see it be so directly related to your hobbies and bringing that to your children is really cool.
Yeah, it's been a very rewarding experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for talking with us today. And congratulations again on being one of our young professionals for 2020. And I hope to see you at a future event whenever those start up again.
Absolutely. We'll be looking for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.